Monday Night Raw. I was expecting it to be bigger. And for those who don't know me, I'm WriterMaven. I comment on Raw, I comment on Judgment Day, I comment on a lot of things, but my primary focus is Judgment Day, Liv, those guys. But for Monday Night Raw, this Raw thought it would be bigger for the final Raw of 2024 and the final Raw for USA Network, but it is what it is. I do want to go get into before I talk about Raw. I want to go into what happened before Raw because if you go to my X account, x.com/WMaven WWE, you will see me talking about my live comments, but you also will see me talking about the sign Rhea held at the Netflix like little shindig get together during Raw. Um, where she was holding up a sign that said, Dom is a slut. Now, I have a lot of minds on that. First of all, I don't like that terminology because now she's stripping out chicken tendy slut. At least when she was saying chicken tender slut, that was in relation to a t shirt Dom had and has worn. So that's a nice little in joke if you haven't seen his pictures with that shirt on. But to out and out just pretty much call Dom a slut, first of all, if the genders were flipped, people would be flipping their shit. And I said what I said because y'all all know that to be true. If any guy called any woman a slut, heads would be rolling. People would be so offended about it. So if it's not good for somebody to call a woman a slut, it's not okay to call Dom a slut. Second of all, Dom has only been with two women, Rhea, and that can be questionable from what she's been saying, and I'll get to what her promo said in a little bit. So you have Rhea and Liv, two women, and you're calling Dom a slut. Unless Dom was running through the entire women's NXT locker room when he was down there as the North American champion, two people, canon wise, in the WWE universe, does not make someone a slut. I just don't like that terminology, and this also shows that Rhea is still stuck up on Dom, and you can see that later on here too. But it's that terminology I don't like. You're just opening up the floodgate. So if some guy calls some woman a slut, I better not hear nothing because if you're gonna, be offended and clutching pearls over a woman being called a slut, you need to be having that same energy for calling Dom a slut. It's so unnecessary, and I don't know why she held up the sign. It's just unnecessary. You don't need to be calling Dom a slut. He's been with two women. That does not make you a slut. Especially when we still have people running around here on the whole roster that's been with other women in the like back in the ruthless aggression attitude era that are still running around that's been with women. So let's not call Dom a slut. I don't like that, and that's just me personally. I don't like it. You're just bringing in something that that's harmful. And like I said, if the genders were reversed, we wouldn't hear the end of it. Second of all, we got we have that negative aspect, but let's go to a positive aspect before I get into the raw review. We had Dom, Liv, and Raquel La Familia recreating the iconic DX See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil picture. Again, you can see that on my X account as well. WMaven WWE. This is like I was like, this looks familiar. I posted a picture of them with that. I was saying that they can be the new DX on one of my videos a while ago. And so now you'll get to see the nice picture here of Dom Liverkill recreating that image, and it's really really cool. So that's a really positive. So go check that out. You can see that on the X. People are talking about that. But yeah, that's a positive. Really good positive. That helped soothe over some of my feelings of the night with that picture. Um, so Monday Night Raw. Shall we get into it? Starting off. we had the Rhea and Liv promo. And Rhea still talking about the title she never lost. Woman, you lost your title. You gave up the title. You lost the title at SummerSlam, and then you lost your opportunity to get the said title at Bad Blood. You're acting like it was just forcibly stripped away from you, and Liv has been running away from it, and you haven't been able to get it back for all these months. No, you had plenty of opportunities to get the title back. You just decided that you had to wail on Dom a lot. That's your fault. You've had plenty of opportunity to win the title back. That's on you, babe. And then again, there's like no mention on Rhea's side of the promo. It was a pretty neat. It was a neat and slick promo, and I liked it. It's just that Rhea is so infuriating because she never got into any of the past stuff. Instead, she was like, "Oh, you just got rid of my, I was caught off guard, but you got rid of my dead weight, woman." Like, okay, so Dom betraying you, I guess that didn't hurt you or anything like that. Judgment Day, JD, Carlito, Finn, those were dead weight. So what was the point? If they're dead weight, then why should I care that you got betrayed? Why should I care that Dom, I guess, didn't break your heart? It's that terminology and how she referenced things. So now, I guess I shouldn't care that Dom broke your heart. I shouldn't care that Dom betrayed you. You see what I'm getting at? Like, okay, he's dead weight. Okay, so Dom's dead weight, but you had him around for 2 years. This is like self burning yourself. Like, you're just telling on yourself. Dom's dead weight, but you kept him around for 2 years. And this is not even a realization. Like, it's not like even you came to a realization that, oh, Dom is being bad for me, and I need to let that go. You didn't do that. You just had um, Dom cheated on you and got away from your ass, and then now you want to call him dead weight. It's kind of like how you were saying that he didn't go deep enough, and he's little and all that, and he's like a baby. I'm like, you tolerated that stuff for 2 years. You did. You didn't come. I mean, you were enjoying him when he was like that, and now that he's gone, now he's all these things. It's that bitter bunny boiler X thing again. I really didn't like that. Liv's side of the promo was really nice. She said that she took, she went and took everything from Rhea, which is true. And at least they're showing that Rhea destroyed her arm. So that's at least a positive and all that. It's still not enough of the history. Like, you almost have to, it's like they're forced to show what Rhea did to Liv. Like, you have to show that part. Otherwise, things won't be making sense. And now it's just like, but you get the little bit of history, but other than that, it's not. It's other than that, you don't get no more history, which is a total waste. The interesting thing is that Rhea and Lev are saying that this needs to end. I do fully expect this part to end. I still am on my 80% of Liv winning, even with Finn being like really shady, and I'll get to what he said later. But I still think Liv wins. Right now, I'm not sure. I wouldn't expect them to move a title 3 or 4 months away from WrestleMania. There's no point to that. Like, pretty much any title, barring maybe Intercontinental, you can kind of get away with playing with that belt a little bit. But everything else, I think they're all blocked now. There's no point in moving any belt right now. I think the only belts that be awarded will be the women's Intercontinental title on Jan 6 and the Tribal Chief. I think that's the only thing. Everything else will be solid. And I'm still 80% sure Liv retains. And of course I have to allow for 20% of Triple H's bullshit. And if it does end up being flipped where Liv loses it, then we've pretty much lost the plot and Rhea has no story. Because like I said, Io lost today, and I thought she was going to advance, but she lost. But still, she's not being shown as a strong contender for Royal Rumble because she keeps on losing. So I mean, yeah, you could do that with even with the Money in the Bank with Tiffany, where she keeps losing, but still, it's like you're not giving like your strong contenders a shot. Like I would expect if I was expecting Royal Rumble winners right now, I would be expecting like Bianca, Naomi, Nia if she still has it. Maybe if Cody was there's just maybe her. Like right now for the women, there's not a lot of strong candidates Royal Rumble wise, but still, you you would still have to stretch out with EO. You would still have to stretch out like a 3 or 4 month storyline with her limited English skills, and I don't think that's going to happen. And even if she won something like at elimination chamber, I still think that's limited information. Like, what can you write with that? People always have to think, and then what? Like, Io wins it, and then what? What will they talk about? Are we just going to have Rhea be the same thing like she was in 2023, where she just ran around with just the title, no challengers, and like now she can't even stick her nose back into the men's division. So she's stuck. So it's not like she can get involved with other things while her challengers are being built up. At least with Liv, you have some ready-made challengers available for her. Like if Dakota wins the IC, Lyra's available to help combat with Liv. But um, I did notice that they didn't really mention Last Woman Standing, but I still think it is on for Last Woman Standing between Rhea and Liv. I'm not sure. Maybe they want to save that like for some announcements for next week, or maybe even this week. It might be even be something like because I don't think they would have like Liv out and preparing if it was just a regular Joe Blow like pin match. Like there's got to be a reason why she's preparing. And that's gonna segue us into the Judgment Day promo in the clubhouse. We have um Judgment Day, JD and Carlito kind of worried about Liv, and I kind of like how JD was kind of worried about Liv there. That was kind of, that's showing that he does care about about Liv, and Dar was like, hey, Liv has a plan, and he kind of goes to Raquel and says she does have a plan, right? But I think this is more like a face saving or not telling their actual plan in front of JD and Carlito and Finn, especially with Finn being his demented self. That's just I think Dom knows the plan. Dom and at the very least Raquel knows the plan. Whatever Liv's plotting, they know the plan. It's just that they can't say that in front of JD. They can't say that in Finn, and especially in front of Carlito because he's a blabbermouth. So you have to put some kind of doubt there. So Finn, because that his Dom doing that kind of got Finn to show his ass a little bit because he was just being really condescending. Like he was all like, you follow Finn, you win, and I'm like, Finn, if you were doing that, you wouldn't have lost the tag titles. So like, that's not working, dude. And then and then when they were getting ready for it, when JD and Carlito and Dom go off for the match, he holds back like he's like, I'm really rooting for Liv. So people thought that Finn is plotting something here. I don't think Finn is plotting. This is just Finn being his demented, delusional, condescending, and gaslighting self. To me, Finn plotting something, I think we would see um more things plot wise, like around Bad Blood, like where Finn was calling Dom to say that the deal is done. I would expect to see more of that as it relates plotting wise. I don't think Finn is plotting anything. I just think he's just being delusional. I think he's just doing that neg thing, like where it's the neck thing where he was saying like, well, Rhea's after her. When he was talking to Liv like around after War Games, well, Rhea's after you and Bianca's after you and all that. I think that's Finn in that vein. I don't think this isn't Finn plotting per se. Things noticed in the clubhouse. We do see the red lunchbox back for Finn. People are talking about there's chains there. They saying that's Rhea's. I really don't think that's Rhea. Rhea had some change, but change kind of has always been in the clubhouse some kind of way, but that's not really attributed to anybody. Chains were mostly they for Rhea, it was mostly the scale for Judgment Day. Like Dom always had the gun belts, and Damian was the archer, and Finn was the X, and then Dom, and then you had Dom with the gun belts. So chains, I think chains could just be chains for anybody. Like we started seeing scales around there, yeah. And then they wanted to say, well, the skull is there too for Rhea that she licked. Now we've seen that skull before, and that skull had an X and an O carved into the side of it. We only saw it from the front, so we can't say if that's just the same skull Rhea licked or if that's the XO skull that we've been seeing in the background. And what was that? Galaxy says just before I break into it, didn't Dominik try to use a chain at WrestleMania 39? He did, so that could have been Dom's chain. So I can't say with finality that that's Rhea's chain because so many people have used chains in the Judgment Day. Dom has used that before, so that could have been the WrestleMania 39 chain. And then we saw like they said, well, Rhea's face was on the screen. I'm like, usually with JD and Carlito, they're usually playing somebody on that screen. That screen is just a regular like your regular stock screen where you're like on a loading screen or like a selection screen to get to like select your matches and things like that. That's like a loading screen. So yeah, you're gonna have Rhea's face on that because she was like the face of 2K24. So she's gonna be on there. So yeah, it could mean something, but usually with Carlito and JD, they're usually playing somebody. So we did like I would put more stock into it if we saw JD and Carlito play like Liv and Dom in one of the matches in the background. But we didn't see that. That was just a loading screen there. Right now, you can tell that Raquel is seeing through Finn's shit because she was giving him a look. Somebody was talking about, I wouldn't be saying that around Latina with the way Finn was talking about Liv, and it's right. Raquel really looked like she was really on to Finn's shit. And when I get to Raw talk, I'll talk about that a little bit more because it just looks like Raquel and Dom are just over shit at this particular point. And then we go into the tag match, which I have labeled that Damian sucks because he does suck. Um, we have new Judgment Day music. Now I know people are flipping their shit about the music because On the Other Side is a banger. I love Alter Bridge, so this is coming from an Alter Bridge fan, so I get it. I love Alter Bridge. I love Metalingus. I love On the Other Side. I have so many of their albums. They are a really, really good band. So I get why people were like, what the fuck when we have the new music. But you have to remember you have to remember that Judgment Day probably wasn't going to keep on the other side's music, especially since it's so still connected with Edge, Adam Copeland. So it was only a matter of time that was going to leave. It's just kind of weird that you leave it now, but it is what it is. The music I think is fine. We didn't hear enough of it. It might need to get tweaked. Usually new theme songs need to get tweaked a little bit. So it might need to get tweaked. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's a song. And I think this song matches Dom's aesthetic a little bit more. This isn't leaning more towards Finn. This is leaning more towards a Dom aesthetic. And then also notice that when Judgment Day came out, who was announced first? Dirty Dominik Mysterio. It's these little things that I am noticing. The tag team match sucked ass for what it was, but there's some little things here. First, we have the new music that fits Dom's aesthetic. We have Dom being announced first. When they huddle up, when Finn was trying to huddle up everybody, Dom did not want to huddle up. Go back and watch it. He really didn't. And then when he was going to his normal place, he was looking back. He's probably looking back for Liv, so he's missing Liv. So we have these little moments here. Now, for the match itself, no Aura Priest. He is still not He's still not getting that pop. He really's not. Even with War Raiders, like I think he's gonna drag down War Raiders if they're not careful. Like War Raiders are already on thin ice, but I think he can drag them down because the because the match sucked because he's no selling. I still don't get why he doesn't sell. We went if anybody watched any other videos of the holiday tour, we saw Dom show out with Seth. We saw Dom show out with Rey Mysterio because he had a match against his dad yesterday. They were really good matches. They weren't squatches. Dom lost, but he's able to show his offense. We got to see him work the crowd. It was good. And then when we get back here on Monday, we have to deal with Damian's ass where he no sells and then he was botching on top of it. Did you see how he botched like the Razor's Edge attempt on Dom? And then when Dom had to did the kind of like the what is that a hurricanrana to get Damian to the rope for the 619 attempt, like he just fell. He didn't even get to the ropes. So that was just completely sucked. And then he did a nice South of Heaven counter to pin Dom, but still he didn't get a pop at all. None. It was dead. Like you got some ooh, who just followed me? That Liv, thank you for the following. So so it's just dead. And then notice here that Finn did not break up the pin attempt. He could have broken up that he could have broken up that pin. Finn did, but he didn't. He let Dom get pinned, and then he went after Damien. And I'm like, I am so over this anymore because right now Finn and Damien, they need to either let that finish and do something with that, or they just need to or they need to gone and go with Finn and Dom. I'm tired of Damien. Damien needs to exit this. Everybody's in his vortex of stuff, kind of like how Liv's in her Rhea's vortex of stuff. It's just annoying. It's aggravating. I'm tired. I'm tired of both of them. I'm tired of Rhea. I'm tired of Damien. Um, because Damien, if he just because what are we doing here? Like, why do I care that Finn and Damien are feuding? For what? Y'all already both cost each other tag matches and titles and all that. Either have a match or get over it. And then towards the end there, Finn is all celebrating like he did some shit when he was working on Damien's leg. We saw Dom kind of check in on JD, but he was kind of out of that. Yeah, like that whole tag match could have been an email. It could have been. It served no purpose. It didn't really advance anything significantly like I wanted to from my preview. We needed some significant progress. Even if Dom had to take the pin, which I don't like, even if Dom took the pin, we needed to see at least Dom getting pissed with Finn or something. We needed some significant advancement. And then we go into Raw Talk. We saw Raquel comforting Dom here, and then notice during Raw Talk we have the split between Dom and Raquel on one side, and then JD, Carlito, and Finn on the other. Finn's all talking about like going after Damien and going at see how we do it. Finn acting like he won something, and then he's talking about going with the tag titles for JD. It's like there's no mention of Finn Dom in this conversation at all with Finn, and Pete, Dom, and Raquel's faces, they look totally over it. So hopefully now, I kind of hope they just gotta pull the trigger on January 6th. Just do it. You can keep Judgment Day branding with this, but just make it La Familia. I'm tired. I can't deal with this. Pull the trigger, let Finn get annihilated or whatever. Do something because they need to break out of these vortexes. It a lot. Rhea and Liv need to end. Damien attachment to Dom needs to end. Hopefully in 2025 we get Dom started on a better path. He does not need to be constantly being fed to Damien trying to get a reaction because like this happened tonight, Damien did not get a reaction at all. I'm tired. I'm tired of Damian. His most selling is ruining stuff. I mean, it's one thing to be, nigh invincible. It's one thing. It's another thing just to not sell for anybody. I mean, you're not making your opponent look good. Especially when Seth, Gunther, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, all these other people can make Dom look good. And even when Dom takes a loss there, they can make him look good. But then as soon as Dom faces you, nobody's looking good. Like, nobody looks good with him. Dom especially, because they keep feeding him to him. But they need to keep doing that. It's not going to work. He is not going to give Dom is not going to give Damian any more of his face aura anymore. It needs to stop. I'm tired of it. Let Dom go on his own, detach him from this Damian stuff, and let Dom, Liv, and Raquel go off on their own. They need to separate from Damian, and they need to separate from Rhea. They just need to go on and do some other things. Rest of Raw, New Day is kind of getting boring to me. I mean, yeah, they're getting booed, but it's booze. Do something. We need a match. And it looks like they're going to do a match with Ray and stuff like that next week or possible coming up. I'm really hoping that's not with Penta. I want Penta with Dom. Dom and Penta, I think, would do well. Penta could be Dom's heater. Dom can say that Penta is somebody he met in prison. Roll with that. Help Dom helps Penta with the language barrier, and he could be a heater and help out Dom. That's what I want. I don't want Penta to be anywhere near the LWO. If there's going to be a partner, let that be somebody else against New Day. I do not need Penta nowhere near LWO. Put him with Dom. If we're gonna help somebody try to get over, I would rather be helping somebody like Penta than Damian Priest. Because at least Penta, I've seen his work. He is magnificent luchador. I've seen his matches in Lucha Underground. I've seen his matches on CML, AAA. I've seen his matches in AEW. He's great. Give him a chance. Don't put him with LWO. And then Jay was talking about Drew. Drew comes out and just does like a headbutt because he doesn't give a fuck. That was actually kind of funny. Like headbutting a Samoan is not supposed to be a good idea, but Drew was like, "Damn it, fuck it," and then just headbutt Jay, and then does the Claymore, just beats him down. I highly suspect he'll be somewhat involved in that tribal warfare match next week, even with the match that he has with Jay. Semifinals for the Intercontinental Women's title. We had Dakota Kai win. I expected that. We had Lyra win. I wasn't expecting that, but it is what it is. Like I said, I still don't think Io's going to win the Royal Rumble. And I kind of don't expect Lyra to win the IC. I think that's going to go to Dakota. And we'll just go from there on that. Dakota kind of has a feud with Sonya, I guess, so I guess they can roll with that. Then there is what Butch and Truth. I kind of skipped over that. I didn't remember that one. And then we had the absolute barn burner of a promo between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. You see how history and referring to history outside of the WWE makes things a lot better, because CM Punk and Seth kept giving each other zingers back and forth. Punk talking about why did Becky take her ball and go home, which was a Becky mention, and then Seth is like, she's down, she's home taking care of my kids, something you don't know about. And then Seth is talking about how Punk, got so much money from AEW, and then Punk is talking about how Vince loves Seth Rollins. It was just going back and forth. That was great. I highly recommend y'all go back and watch that promo. Again, this is like how the promo was between Kofi and Xavier at that time. When you actually are able to use the history, it makes everything better. Why they don't do this with Rhea, I don't know. Because they could have made this feud a lot better if they actually let them reference the history. But I digress. Um, and then one more observation with Rhea. Have you ever noticed that she's being kind of seen less and less and less? She was at the Netflix experience, but she's not doing a lot of backstage stuff. Like she wasn't doing anything backstage last week. We've got her doing some kind of backstage promo like after Bad Blood and then before War Games, but she hasn't been doing much. Just really interesting, and that's one of those things where I'm thinking that's why I lean towards Rhea not winning because she's not doing all this extra stuff. Yeah, she did the Netflix experience, but that's like one of the only things she did. And then she did the holiday tour with SmackDown just because it was closer to her home. And I get that, but there's other people. Somebody pointed out with the holiday tour, yeah, it's closer to her home, but there's a lot of other wrestlers that have holiday tours closer to their homes that they had to go like for the opposite brand. So like it's just weird how Rhea's being treated. I don't want to say preferential, even though I think Triple H really needs to get over trying to make it up for what he did to China. But it's just really odd with how Rhea's been treated because like if she's the star that people keep trying to say that she is, one, if she's a star, she doesn't need a title right now. If she's a star, she should have been all over the billing for Netflix, and she's not. If she's the star, I would expect her to get a lot more backstage promos and things. She's not even doing that. It's just really, really muted on her. And that's another thing of like, why would you put the title back on Rhea? It doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, Liv has been all over the place. Like, how you gonna go from Liv promoting everything with the women's world title to nothing? You know, Liv's been all over the place. Netflix interviews, and then she's gonna have an interview on January 1st too. Liv, they're gonna be doing something. I don't know what it is, but she's gonna be doing something. So she's doing all this stuff. She's doing all the promos. It's like Liv and Dom. Liv been doing this, and then Dom's been doing this. Raquel's been there too. I actually like that Raquel's been with Liv just to see her and Liv interacting like really good friends on these trips. So it's just like been Liv, Raquel, and Dom all over the place. Like that's your star. That's the one that you want to promote. That's the one you put the belt on to promote your product. It's kind of like with Cody. Cody probably doesn't really need the belt right now, but he's such an ambassador for the WWE that he needs the title when he's going out. He's the one that's bringing in the fans. He's interacting with fans. He's that's what I would expect with Rhea somewhat. If she's gonna be this face, I need her to be that ambassador like Cody Rhodes is. It doesn't have to be super saccharine sweet and hug all the kids and all that, but you should be interacting with the people more. You should be interacting with the crowds. You should be doing all this other stuff. Rhea's not doing that. But anywho, early predictions for January 6th. Like I said, I do think Liv retains. There's gonna be some kind of shenanigans. I don't think it's gonna be super clean that Liv wins, and it may not be interference, but I think she has a plan. It's gonna be some kind of plan and shenanigans. Somebody even brought up like SummerSlam's Last Man Standing, where Brock kind of got buried under a whole bunch of stuff, which was actually kind of funny because Roman had won when you saw Jay coming up behind him with another chair to put on the pile. That was hilarious. So you could have something like that. It could be something where she just dog dog piles Liv. Well, I mean, dog piles Rhea with so much stuff that she wins. Okay, hold on. That is what it is. Let's answer some questions, shall we? Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven, WWE, and on TikTok at WriterMaven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.